you are not merely unraveling. You are participating in a cosmic act of transfiguration, a sacred metamorphosis where the caterpillar of your conditioned self, having consumed the entirety of its limited world, now enters the chrysalis of profound unknowing, surrendering to a force of dissolution that will, in its own mysterious time, birth the winged immensity of your authentic, liberated being. This grand and often terrifying process does not typically announce itself with celestial trumpets or angelic visitations. Instead, it often begins as an almost imperceptible shift in the deep currents of your inner world, a subtle yet persistent dissonance between the life you are living and a life your soul vaguely intuits is possible. It's a feeling akin to homesickness for a place you've never consciously known, a quiet but relentless ache in the heart of your days, a sense that the intricate stage play of your existence, however successful or comfortable it may appear, is somehow missing its most vital, most authentic act. This isn't a symptom of psychological malaise to be diagnosed and medicated away. It is the primordial summons of your deepest self, the divine spark within you calling you back from the exiled lands of conformity and illusion to the sovereign kingdom of your own indwelling truth. This summons often translates into an increasingly acute awareness of the myriad ways in which your life has been shaped by forces external to your truest nature. The bedrock of your beliefs, religious, political, social, personal, begins to exhibit fine, spidery cracks, revealing that what you mistook for solid granite was, in many instances, carefully constructed opinion, inherited dogma, or cultural consensus. The ambitions that once propelled you forward with such fervor, the pursuit of wealth, status, recognition, or even an idealized form of relationship, may start to feel like chains, gilded perhaps, but chains nonetheless, tethering you to a wheel of striving that offers no lasting sustenance to the soul. You might observe your own habitual behaviors, your reflexive emotional responses, your ingrained thought patterns, with a newfound sense of detached curiosity, wondering, where did this truly originate? Is this an authentic expression of my being, or a learned script, a survival mechanism adopted long ago in a world that felt unsafe or unloving? This is not the onset of morbid introspection or a descent into self-criticism. It is the awakening of the inner witness, the discerning intelligence of your consciousness beginning to meticulously sift the wheat of your authentic self from the chaff of your conditioning. The societal matrix, with its relentless emphasis on external achievement, material accumulation, and the performance of a happy, well-adjusted persona, offers scant vocabulary or validation for this profound internal dismantling. Indeed, it may actively pathologize it, labeling it as depression, anxiety, a midlife crisis, or a failure to cope. Friends, family, colleagues, acting from their own levels of awareness, and often with genuine concern, may attempt to steer you back towards the familiar, the predictable, the normal. They may offer well-intentioned advice aimed at restoring your previous state of functioning, unable to grasp that your previous state is precisely what your soul is compelling you to transcend. This divergence between your inner reality and the expectations of your external world can create a profound sense of alienation, a feeling of being a stranger in a strange land, even amongst those you love. But this isn't a sign that you are defective or that the world is irredeemably hostile. It is an indication that you are beginning to vibrate at a different frequency, to attune yourself to a deeper, more subtle order of reality that is often invisible to the consensus trance. Your journey inward necessitates a degree of separation from the dominant narratives, a willingness to be misunderstood, even to be perceived as eccentric or lost, as you chart your own course by the light of your emerging inner truth. Consider the intricate architecture of the ego self, that masterful construct designed for survival and social navigation in a three-dimensional world. It is a complex amalgam of memories, roles, defenses, talents, insecurities, and beliefs, all meticulously curated to present a coherent and acceptable lie to the world. For decades, You have likely identified with this ego self so completely that the notion of being other than it seemed inconceivable. Yet, the awakening process initiates a gradual, or sometimes shockingly abrupt, disidentification from this limited persona. You begin to see it not as the totality of your being, but as a vehicle, a tool, a temporary costume. You observe its anxieties, its attachments, its vanities, its fears, with a growing sense of compassionate detachment, realizing, this is not me. This is a pattern of energy, a conditioned response, a story I have been telling myself. This disidentification is not a negation of your personal history or individuality. Rather, it is an expansion of identity to include the vaster, timeless, formless consciousness that is your true ground of being. The I begins to shift from a noun, a fixed entity, to a verb, a process of becoming an open awareness. This profound reorientation is seldom a smooth or painless transition. The ego, sensing its impending obsolescence, or at least a significant demotion from its position of absolute authority, will often mount a fierce resistance. It may generate storms of fear, doubt, confusion, and self-sabotaging behaviors. It may cling desperately to old grievances, familiar comforts, or sources of external validation. It may try to co-opt the awakening process itself, transforming spiritual insights into new forms of self-aggrandizement or subtle judgment of others. This is the guardian at the threshold, the part of your psyche that, paradoxically, seeks to protect you from the very immensity of your own divine nature, fearing that such expansion will lead to annihilation. Navigating this inner landscape requires immense courage, unwavering self-compassion, and often the guidance of those who have trod similar paths. This isn't a battle to be won against an enemy within. It is a delicate dance of integration, a process of lovingly acknowledging the ego as legitimate fears while steadfastly aligning with the deeper wisdom of the soul that calls you towards wholeness. The unmasking that accompanies this journey is a multifaceted revelation. It is not merely about ceasing to pretend with others. It is, more fundamentally, about ceasing to pretend with yourself. You become acutely aware of the subtle self-deceptions, the convenient blind spots, the ways you have compromised your integrity or silenced your inner knowing to maintain a sense of peace, belonging, or advantage. The sheer energetic cost of upholding these myriad facades, the constant vigilance, the internal editing, the fear of exposure becomes starkly apparent, often manifesting as chronic fatigue, anxiety, or a pervasive sense of being burdened. Each layer of pretense shed, each mask voluntarily laid down, brings with it a complex wave of emotions. Relief, certainly, but also vulnerability, shame perhaps, for the past inauthenticity, and a daunting sense of exposure. For to be truly authentic is to be truly visible, and to be truly visible in a world that often prefers comfortable illusions can feel like standing naked in a crowded room. Yet, it is in this very nakedness, this courageous willingness to be seen in your unadorned truth, that genuine self-acceptance and profound connection can finally take root. This isn't an invitation to reckless self-disclosure or a disregard for social appropriateness. It is a call to align your inner reality with your outer expression, to live from a place of unwavering congruence. As this congruence deepens, your entire sensory apparatus may undergo a startling recalibration, leading to what many describe as heightened sensitivity. This is not a descent into neuroticism or a new form of fragility. Rather, it is your consciousness, less encumbered by the dense filters of the ego and its defense mechanisms, beginning to perceive the world with a rawer, more immediate, and far more nuanced acuity. Colors may appear almost painfully vivid, sounds more sharply defined and potentially intrusive, smells more evocative. Beyond the 5 physical senses, your intuitive, empathetic, and energetic perceptions may awaken with force. You might find yourself knowing things without knowing how you know them, feeling the emotional states of those around you, as if they were your own sometimes before they are even consciously aware of them themselves, or sensing the energetic imprint of environments with an almost physical impact. The once clear distinction between self and other can begin to blur at an energetic level, leading to a profound understanding of interconnectedness, but also to the challenge of maintaining healthy energetic boundaries. Learning to discern what is truly yours versus what you are picking up from your surroundings becomes a crucial practice for navigating daily life without constant overwhelm. This isn't a sign of becoming ungrounded. It is the expansion of your awareness into the subtle energetic realities that underpin the material world, and awakening to the fact that you are not just a physical body, but a luminous field of energy interacting with a vast ocean of other energies. This heightened sensitivity often necessitates a radical re-evaluation of your lifestyle. The frantic pace, the constant bombardment of stimuli, the processed foods, the toxic environments, and the superficial interactions that characterize much of modern life can become not just unpleasant, but physically and energetically intolerable. You may find yourself inexplicably drawn to nature, to silence, to simplicity, to whole foods, to gentle forms of movement, to relationships that are characterized by depth and authenticity. This is not an arbitrary set of new preferences or an attempt to adopt a spiritual lifestyle. It is your body-mind system instinctively seeking what it needs to support its evolving energetic structure, to integrate the profound shifts occurring within your consciousness. Practices that once seemed like optional self-care meditation, yoga, journaling, spending time in nature, conscious breathing transform into essential tools for maintaining equilibrium, for grounding your expanding awareness, and for navigating the often turbulent waters of transformation. It is your organism's innate wisdom guiding you towards environments and activities that resonate with your new, more refined frequency. The journey inevitably leads through the profound and often deeply challenging territory of the void, that liminal state where the old self has largely dissolved, but the new, authentic self has not yet fully cohered. It is the space between stories, the pause between breaths, the dark cocoon where the alchemical transformation takes place. In this state, all the familiar landmarks of your identity, your roles, your beliefs, your ambitions, your very sense of who you are may vanish, leaving you feeling adrift, undefined, perhaps even non-existent. The mind, which abhors a vacuum and is conditioned to seek constant definition and control, can react to this state with intense fear, anxiety, and a desperate urge to grasp onto anything that offers a semblance of structure or meaning. This is where the temptation to prematurely abort the process, to rush into new identities, new relationships, new spiritual frameworks, or even to regress to old, familiar patterns, is strongest. Yet, the wisdom traditions across ages have revered this void not as an emptiness to be feared, but as the plenum, the fertile darkness, the womb of all potentiality. It is sunyata, the pregnant emptiness from which all forms arise and to which all forms return. To willingly abide in this space, to surrender to the profound unknowing, without demanding premature resolution, is an act of supreme spiritual courage. It is here, in the absolute stillness, divested of all masks and pretenses, stripped bare of all conceptual frameworks, that you can encounter the pristine, unconditioned awareness that is your true nature. It is here that the soul's deepest truths, long obscured by the ego's noise, can finally be heard, not as thoughts, but as direct, felt experiences of being. This isn't a passive waiting. It is an active surrender, a profound listening, and allowing of the sacred mystery to weave you from the inside out. Time itself may seem to warp in the void, the linear progression of past, present, future dissolving into an eternal now, offering glimpses into the timeless dimension of your being. Within, or often preceding, the deeper immersion into the void, many encounter the archetypal passage known as the dark night of the soul. This is not merely a period of sadness or difficulty. It is an existential crucible, a profound spiritual desolation, where the very foundations of one's faith, meaning, and sense of connection to the divine can seem to utterly crumble. It's a state where prayers seem to go unanswered, where spiritual practices feel hollow, where the light that once guided seems extinguished. It is the soul's winter, a period of profound barrenness and seeming abandonment. This experience, while excruciating, serves a crucial alchemical purpose, the burning away of all residual attachments, all spiritual materialism, the ego's tendency to collect spiritual experiences or identities, all subtle forms of self-deception, and any reliance on an externalized God or an idealized spiritual path. It is a purification by fire, designed to strip you down to the absolute, unshakable core of your own indwelling divinity. To foster a faith that is not dependent on external validation or emotional highs, but is rooted in the direct, unmediated experience of your own being as inseparable from the sacred mystery itself. It is in the deepest darkness that one often discovers an inner light that is truly one's own, a light that cannot be extinguished. The grieving process that weaves its way through this entire journey is complex and multi-layered. There is, of course, the grief for the tangible losses, the shedding of the old, familiar self, however limiting it may have been. The dissolution of relationships that could not withstand the seismic shifts of your transformation. The letting go of cherished dreams and ambitions that no longer align with your evolving truth. But there is also a more subtle, pervasive grief, a grief for the loss of innocence, as you awaken to the often harsh realities of the human condition and the prevalence of suffering and illusion in the world. A grief for the collective trauma that humanity carries, a sorrow that your newly sensitized heart now feels with an almost unbearable acuity. Perhaps even a cosmic grief, a sense of separation from source that is the root of all existential longing. This grief is not a sign of weakness or a regression. It is a profound testament to your humanity, to your capacity for love and empathy. To allow this grief to be fully felt, to move through you in waves without resistance or judgment, is a deeply healing and transformative act. It softens the hardened edges of the heart, cultivates profound compassion for yourself and others, and paradoxically, opens you to a deeper capacity for joy and authentic connection, a joy that is not predicated on the absence of sorrow, but can coexist with it. The physical body, as the vessel of your consciousness, is intimately involved in every stage of this profound metamorphosis. It is not merely a passive bystander, but an active participant, a bioenergetic transducer undergoing immense stress and radical recalibration. The influx of higher frequency energies and the release of old, dense emotional and mental patterns can manifest in a bewildering array of physical symptoms. Beyond the commonly reported fatigue aches and digestive disturbances, you might experience intense heat or cold sensations, vibrations, or buzzing in the body. Tingling in the extremities, pressure in the head, especially the crown or third eye areas, heart palpitations, dizziness, or changes in appetite and weight. Sleep patterns can become dramatically altered, with periods of profound insomnia alternating with an overwhelming need for sleep, and dream states may become extraordinarily vivid, lucid, or filled with symbolic guidance and processing. These are not necessarily signs of illness, though it is always wise to rule out underlying medical conditions. More often, they are indications of your body's strenuous efforts to detoxify, to clear old energetic imprints, to rewire its neural pathways, and to upgrade its entire operating system to accommodate the expanded frequencies of your awakening consciousness. Cultivating a deep, compassionate listening to your body's innate wisdom, honoring its needs for rest-specific nourishment, gentle movement, and energetic clearing, becomes not just helpful, but absolutely essential for navigating this intensity with grace and for facilitating the integration of these profound changes. The body is, in this sense, a sacred alchemical crucible. Amidst the disorienting intensity of these internal and external shifts, the universe often begins to communicate with you in a more overt and symbolic language, most notably through an increase in synchronicity. These meaningful coincidences, the right book falling open a song, playing with precisely the lyrics you need to hear, an unexpected encounter with someone who offers a crucial piece of guidance, a series of repeating numbers or symbols appearing in your awareness, are no longer dismissible as mere chance. They begin to feel like personal messages, loving affirmations from a benevolent intelligence that is subtly guiding and supporting your journey. Learning to recognize, interpret, and trust these synchronicities can become a profound source of comfort, reassurance, and direction, a tangible sign that you are indeed held and guided, even when you feel most lost or alone. They are the universe's way of winking at you, of reminding you that you are an integral part of a vast, interconnected and intelligent web of life, and that your individual unfolding is in perfect, albeit often mysterious alignment with a larger cosmic dance. The re-emergence, the slow and tender blossoming of the authentic self from the fertile ground of the void, is rarely a dramatic Hollywood-style unveiling. It is more often a quiet, incremental process, a subtle shift in the quality of your presence, a growing internal coherence, a deepening sense of peace that is not dependent on external circumstances. The fierce inner critic that once dominated your internal landscape may begin to soften, its voice fading into the background as a more compassionate, wise, and loving inner presence takes hold. Your values organically reprioritize themselves. The pursuit of external validation and material gain often gives way to a yearning for genuine connection, for meaningful contribution, for creative expression, for simple beingness. Decisions become less fraught with anxiety and mental rumination, guided instead by a clear, quiet, internal knowing, a felt sense of what is truly aligned and what is not. This isn't about achieving a new perfected static state of being. It is about embracing a more fluid, adaptable, and resilient way of navigating life, rooted in an unshakable connection to your own core truth and an unwavering trust in the unfolding process. This new way of being naturally attracts and cultivates a different quality of relationship. Having journeyed through the depths of your own psyche, faced your shadows, and embraced your vulnerabilities, you develop a profound capacity for authentic intimacy and a low tolerance for superficiality or pretense. You become a magnet for others who are on a similar path of conscious evolution, individuals who are capable of meeting you in your truth, celebrating your strengths, and holding space for your continued growth without judgment or projection. These are the soul family connections, characterized by mutual respect, deep resonance, and a shared commitment to authenticity and spiritual unfoldment. The old patterns of codependency, emotional entanglement, or power dynamics give way to relationships built on sovereignty, equality, and a joyful recognition of the divine in each other. These connections are not about filling a void or completing oneself, but about two whole individuals choosing to walk together, to mirror and support each other's unique expression of their essence. It's crucial to recognize the subtle yet persistent ways the ego can attempt to co-opt the spiritual journey, creating what is often termed spiritual materialism or the spiritual ego. This can manifest as an attachment to spiritual experiences, a subtle sense of superiority over those perceived as less awake, the use of spiritual jargon as a new form of intellectual armor, an obsession with acquiring spiritual knowledge or techniques without genuine integration, or even the adoption of a spiritual persona that is just another, more refined mask. True spiritual maturity is not measured by the number of extraordinary experiences one has had or the depth of one's metaphysical understanding, but by the consistent embodiment of qualities such as humility, compassion, patience, integrity, and a simple, unpretentious kindness in one's daily interactions. It is a continuous practice of self-awareness, a willingness to honestly examine one's own motivations, and to gently but firmly dismantle any emerging egoic structures that seek to claim ownership of the awakening process. The path is one of ever-deepening surrender, not of acquisition. Furthermore, this personal journey of awakening does not occur in a vacuum. It is deeply intertwined with the collective evolution of human consciousness and the healing of planetary energies. As you heal your own trauma, release your limiting beliefs, and embody more of your authentic light, you contribute to the healing of ancestral patterns and the raising of the collective vibrational field. Your courage to break free from conditioned norms creates new pathways, new possibilities for others. There's a growing understanding that individual liberation and collective liberation are two sides of the same coin. Your personal work is planetary work. This doesn't necessitate grand, external gestures of activism. It is often most powerfully expressed through the consistent emanation of your authentic presence, your compassion, your integrity in every sphere of your life, however small or seemingly insignificant. The paradoxes encountered on this path are numerous and profound, requiring a mind that can hold seemingly contradictory truths simultaneously. There is the paradox of effort and surrender, the need for diligent inner work combined with a radical letting go of control. There is the paradox of individuality and oneness, the celebration of your unique soul expression, alongside the realization of your fundamental interconnectedness with all life. There is the paradox of immanence and transcendence, experiencing the divine as both intimately present within every particle of creation and as the formless, boundless reality that transcends all manifestation. Learning to dance with these paradoxes, to reside in the creative tension they generate without needing to resolve them intellectually, is a hallmark of maturing consciousness. It moves you beyond linear, dualistic thinking into a more holistic, integrative perception of reality. Finally, it must be said that this odyssey of the soul is not a linear ascent to a predetermined peak of perfection, but a spiralic journey of ever-deepening remembrance, integration, and embodiment. There are no final graduations, no ultimate arrival points where the work is done. There are moments of profound grace, insight, and ecstatic union, and there are also periods of challenge, contraction, doubt, and the re-emergence of old patterns for deeper healing. The invitation is to meet all of it with the same compassionate awareness, the same unwavering commitment to truth, the same trust in the underlying intelligence and love that orchestrates the entire unfolding. This is about cultivating a resilient, open-hearted presence that can navigate the full spectrum of human experience with wisdom, grace, and an unshakable sense of inner peace that is not contingent upon external conditions. If this extraordinarily detailed cartography of the soul as transformative journey resonates with the innermost chambers of your being, and you feel a profound calling to explore these realms with dedicated support and in the company of fellow travelers, we extend an invitation to our Luminous Depths year-long immersion. This is a space for those profoundly committed to the art of sacred unbecoming and the embodiment of their fullest potential. Further details are whispered in the link within the description. Know this, with every fiber of your being, your journey, in all its bewildering complexity, its agonizing beauty, its terrifying freedom, is a testament to the incandescent power of the human spirit to awaken to its divine inheritance. You are not merely enduring a series of random psychological events. You are participating in the ancient sacred drama of consciousness itself, unfolding towards ever greater light, love, and liberation. The courage you demonstrate by simply staying present to this profound inner alchemy is monumental. You are a cartographer of inner worlds, a pioneer charting the unknown territories of human potential. And the light you are so diligently, often painfully, uncovering within yourself is not just for you. It is a beacon for a world desperately in need of authentic illumination. Trust the immense, intricate, and ultimately benevolent mystery of your own becoming.